Net worth versus income. This is a topic that not enough people talk about, and the people that talk about it are just telling you basically lies. It's all BS. So in this video, I'm going to tell you what's more important, your income or your net worth, because whether you know it or not, you make decisions on the rest of your life based on those two factors. And no matter who you are, you choose one or the other. You can't choose both. So I don't care who you are, you've chosen one of these, whether you know it or not. And I'm going to help you understand, did you choose the right one? Which is more important and which is a bigger indicator of where you're going to be in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 50 years, 100 years, if you're lucky enough to make it that long. I promise you guys, you want to watch this video, if you could do me one favor, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. It helps me understand whether or not I should keep making these videos. So here's the deal. For a long time, especially when I was growing up, I'm 30 years old, I always heard people talk about net worth, right? And that being the representer of how well you're doing. Let's say life has put two different people in different situations. John has a net worth of $500,000, but he makes $50,000 a year. He's accumulated that net worth by good investing, listening to YouTube videos, maybe got inheritance, he's got a net worth of 500 grand. We can scale this in any way. Jane has a net worth of $0, but she makes $100,000 a year. Let's say John didn't go to school and he went straight into the trades, so he made $50,000 a year for 4 or 5 years. Let's say 5 years, for example, and accumulated with investments and all that stuff $500,000. But he's at 50 grand a year in terms of income. Jane did a 4-year bachelor's, went and did her master's. She was in school for 6 years, but she did it all smart, graduated with no debt. Maybe she graduated with debt. It doesn't really matter. Her net worth is $0, but she makes 100 grand a year. So most people, like you and me, are going to look at $500,000 and say, we really want to be there. And I think a lot of us have been conditioned to be like, well, there's a bigger lump sum there. That's a better situation to be in. And what I want to talk about in this video is the fact that that inherently is a fallacy. It just isn't correct. Your net worth is not necessarily representative of where you're going to be or where you want to be. Because inflation is so high, and what we don't recognize is in our day-to-day life, the amount of money that we have now is going to be worth a whole lot less when we retire. For example, our parents, I don't care how old you are, your parents probably made about 1/10 of what you made, or maybe your grandparents made about 1/10 of what you made right now, no matter what you really do. The average salary in like the early 90s and late 80s, I want to say was like $28,000 or $29,000. I could be wrong there. Maybe it's $32,000, but it wasn't a whole lot of money, right? Obviously, the cost of living has gone up now and the salary hasn't adjusted, but the salary alone was a lot less, right? So just in juxtaposition of how much money people have relative to what it's worth, it's just not the same. So $100,000 today is going to be worth like very little when you retire. If you're 20 years old, 100 grand right now is going to feel like 15 grand when you're retired. It's going to be really small. Now, you're not wrong. $500,000, if it's invested, is going to grow. You've got compound growth. That's going to grow 10% every year. It's going to be 550, then it's going to be 605, and then it's going to be 670, and it's going to grow in that metric. It's going to grow on average 10% of a year, and then it's going to lose 2 or 3% of inflation, right? Jane has $0 of net worth, so she's not going to grow. But what Jane has is she has a higher earnings potential. And if Jane does the right things, meaning she doesn't inflate her life based on the amount that she earns, she's going to be able to invest a significant amount of money. So what's going to happen for a while? John over here is going to invest less money, but he has a big nest egg because he saved some money. His net worth is going to grow slowly and steadily and up. And he's going to grow a lot faster at first than Jane. But then this is where the system breaks. After 6 or 7 years, where Joe is putting, let's say he's putting $5,000 to $10,000 away, Jane is putting $45,000 to $55,000 away, maybe a little less. Let's say $35,000 to $40,000, right? At some point, so those paths are going to cross. Maybe it takes 6 years. Maybe we have a good stock market. Maybe we have a bad stock market year. Yeah, you got to remember that. The worse the stock market does, the more Jane catches up, right? And we've had a lot of good years in the stock market. So we're in a stagnant period for 5 or 6 years right now. Guess who benefits there? People that are trying to catch up. Doesn't necessarily hurt the people that are investing, right? But if you are trying to catch up and you make more money than the people that were already invested, this is your time, right? Jane's going to eventually catch up. Now, once they've caught up, let's say 10 years goes by and they've caught up. They both now have the same amount invested. John, 10 years is going by, so John now makes $90,000 a year, but Jane makes $190,000 a year. What happens from now, right? Jane continuously can invest a larger proportion of her salary into her savings. That's going to balloon so much faster. This isn't a lesson on savings, so I'm going to stop talking right now. You get the concept. The one thing that you have to understand, and something that's taken me a long time to understand, is the amount of money that you earn is going to trump every other aspect of your life. Yes, you can't spend it, right? Because a lot of times people make more money and they spend all the money and it doesn't really solve the problem. But if you keep your spending habits the same, you're going to do far better if you focus on just earning more than doing all the tricks to invest a little bit more or to trick in your investments or to day trade, you just put the money into safe ETFs and you focus on all your effort being like, how do I increase my income? The outcomes that you're going to experience in life are disproportionately larger than everybody else. So forget about really everything I just said. If you want one thing to focus on, forget about your net worth, forget about literally everything, and figure out, how do I make more money? When you make more money, invest it all. My rule of thumb, if you want to hear what's worked for me, and I've learned this through failing and putting more emphasis on my net worth and doing things with my assets and what I thought my net worth was and trying to invest better and do all those things. What I've learned out of failure is I should figure out my number of how much it costs to live comfortably, do all the things that I want, which for me right now is like about $120,000. That's like, let's call it $120,000. Anything over 120 grand that I make, straight into investments. And part of that $120,000 is already being invested, right? That $120,000, that number where I come to it is like, I pay my mortgage, I invest, I pay into my HSA, I have fund money, I have my cars, I have like all these things, right? And then if one year I make $150,000 after taxes, I have another 21, $18,000 that could be invested. All that 18 goes into investments, right? And that solves the net worth game eventually, but it helps me keep my like happiness stagnant and I continue to build this thing. And that scales. The more and more that I can make, that scales. So this video might sound a little bit stupid because you're like, well, how do I make more money? And I'm not going to answer that in this video, but I'm just saying that a lot of us focus too much on measuring where we are in life based on our net worth. And I know a lot of you guys are going to say, well, the average American deals with the psychology of money. They're in debt. The more they make, the more they spend. It doesn't change it. More people that make $100,000 are in debt than people that make $50,000 in terms of real debt and like substantial debt. And that is true. But I'm speaking to you guys because you're probably good at money. And if you don't, or if you aren't good at money, get good at money and make more income. So I can't solve every problem for you, but I can tell you that upfront, objectively, the more you make, the better you're going to be exponentially. There's no other argument. The problem is this, you might, and I get it, I sound stupid because a lot of you guys are gonna be like, well, of course that's true. But forget about everything else. Follow the rules. Don't try to get fancy. The rules work. Invest a certain proportion of your income. Buy a house. Invest into the S&P 500. Don't take risks. Don't buy 50% of your net worth worth of Bitcoin. Don't do all those things. Follow the rules. Get good returns, because we know that those are good returns, right? Or they should be good returns, and focus on upscaling your income. The more that you will be able to upscale your income faster than you will be able to learn and reap the rewards of beating the market or something like that, right? You have a better chance of just making more money. So put your time and effort into making more money. If you want one hack from somebody that spent the last 12 years of their adult life and probably the last 20 years of my total life, just being like, how do I accumulate the most amount of money as possible? That is the one lesson that I've been able to take away. And it took me until 30 years old to really say, God, I've been doing things wrong. And I'm still technically doing things wrong. It is so emotionally taxing to like shut down a business that's doing well. I've got a business that's doing well, but my ROI on my time is not high enough. So although it makes me thousands of dollars a month in profit, it is not worth my time. I need to give that money up to put it into something where the same amount of time results in $10,000 a month of profit because I've upskilled my own skill set. That is one huge takeaway that you guys should listen to. I can't really answer anything else. Everybody else that makes a video like this, that's net worth versus income, is going to give you a billion stats, but it doesn't mean anything to you because the only thing that matters is your own life, which none of us know. You're individual. Nobody can say something based on your life. We all have lived different lives. Make more money. If you want to learn how to make more money, there's plenty of videos on this channel, but maybe I'll make another. Leave me in the comment section below. But it's more self-explanatory to make more money than for most people understand. Get better at your job, ask for promotions, upskill yourself, learn how to do more things, go back to school, change your jobs, get into sales, take a second job, start a business. Maybe that's kind of risky, but do all of the above and you'll make more money. An easy one is just get a second job, deliver Uber Eats. I don't know what it is. It's not the best way to do it, but like if you're truly sitting here like, I don't think I could do any of those other things, just go work more. Maybe not at the same rate, just work more. And then maybe if you work more, you'll find the motivation after doing it for a while where you're like, this sucks. You're like, I'm going to go learn how to do sales. I'm going to go take that Python coding course that I've always wanted to take. And I might go learn data analytics from the Google Data Analytics certification. I might go get my MBA, or I might go get a college degree, or I might switch into engineering, or I'm going to go to nursing school. You can do all these things that are just going to upscale your income. Nursing school is a great example, right? You can go to a 2-year nursing school and come out of that making, high 70s, low 80s, sometimes even like $100,000 out of a 2-year program nursing school. Yeah, 2 years, and you can be making 100 grand, if not more. I think there's some weird stat that like a nurse could make like 100 to 120 with overtime after 4 years of nursing. And then if they're willing to move around or do travel nursing, they can make the average nurse makes like 140,000 or 136,000 after 4 years of travel nursing or something. And there's a massive need for it. And the only cost to do that is like night school for 2 years. So go work your current job, go to night school for nursing. I don't care who you are, unless you make that kind of money. And even if you make that kind of money, the schedule and quality of life, if you're a nurse, is great, right? And I'm not saying it's hard for all those nurses out there, people in the medical fields. You have a hard job, but it's relative. It's hard in different ways. As somebody that works in consulting, I can tell you it's hard in different ways. I've never been a nurse, right? But I would kill for your schedule. I would kill for your schedule. And I know that it's hard work for consulting. I'll see you guys in the next video.